November 3rd, 2023, 10:12 p.m. Surveillance cameras at the sanctuary grotto of Massabielle in Lourdes, France, captured a sequence that continues to defy every assumption we hold about sacred places and human perception. A man carrying a concealed blade stepped out from the shadows and advanced toward Father Antoine de la Roche during the nightly Rosary. 35 pilgrims were present. What happened in the following 9 seconds remains, still today, one of the most thoroughly recorded yet wholly inexplicable events ever documented at one of the world's most visited Catholic shrines. This testimony, supported by eyewitness accounts from 7 countries, deserves your full attention. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss our investigations into real events that challenge our understanding of the possible. Lourdes, located in the foothills of the Pyrenees in southwest France, is home to only about 14,000 residents, yet receives more than 6 million visitors every year. The Sanctuary of Our Lady of Lourdes is the 3rd largest Catholic pilgrimage site on earth, behind only the Vatican and Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico. Since reports of the Marian apparitions in 1858, this sanctuary has become a magnet for those seeking healing, peace, or answers to questions they can't voice anywhere else. November 3rd, 2023, was an ordinary autumn evening in the Marian city. Temperatures lingered around 56 degrees Fahrenheit as thin fog descended from the Pyrenees, slowly wrapping the town like a silent veil. Moisture glazed the cobblestone streets. Shops selling religious medals and rosaries shut their doors. Restaurants welcomed the final pilgrims. The grotto, heart of the sanctuary, and the exact site where Saint Bernadette Soubirous reported seeing the Virgin, remained open until 10:30 p.m. to allow late-night prayer. This was tradition. Every evening, groups gathered to pray the Rosary, light candles, and rest in silence. Father Antoine de la Roche, 57, originally from Marseille, had agreed to lead prayer that night. A diocesan priest for over 3 decades, he had served across France, known for his quiet devotion and gentle humor. He had been visiting Lourdes for nearly 12 years. Nothing about his day suggested what was coming. He shared lunch with fellow clergy, visited a hospital for pilgrims, and prepared calmly for the evening service. At 10 p.m., 35 people gathered before the glowing grotto, illuminated by hundreds of candles. Families from France, devotees from Spain and Portugal, 2 Italian seminarians, a Polish tour group, several American travelers on spiritual retreat, a Filipino caregiver accompanying her father, a retired schoolteacher from Ireland. The atmosphere was hushed, reverent. Their unified whisper of Ave Maria echoed against the limestone walls. Candles guttered in the damp air, shadows moving like breath on stone. No one noticed the lone man slipping through the main entrance on Avenue Monseigneur Therese. Security personnel were distracted, monitoring Upper Basilica, where another prayer vigil was underway. Late at night, screening was minimal. The sanctuary remained open, faithful to its mission of welcome. The stranger wore a dark raincoat, hood low, hands hidden. Within moments, he would be standing only feet away from the priest, and then the unexplainable began. Her scream split the night like a blade of its own. Before anyone fully grasped what was happening, the attacker raised the knife, his entire body coiled with murderous intent. But then, something happened that no witness has ever been able to logically explain. Just as his arm swung downward, aiming directly at Father Antoine de la Roche's neck, the blade seemed to meet resistance in empty air, as though stopped by an invisible wall. The force of his motion recoiled violently against his own body. He staggered backward, stunned, his hand still clutching the weapon. Several pilgrims later testified that they heard a sharp metallic strike, though there was nothing visible between the assailant and his target. Others claimed to have seen a brief flash of brilliant white, like a soft arc of light radiating from behind the priest, almost like a shield. No physical source could be found. The priest, still unaware of the deadly swing, continued leading the prayer, his voice unwavering. As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be. His calm tones contrasted grotesquely with the panic erupting around him. The attacker tried again, this time thrusting forward with brutal force. The knife halted mid-air, frozen as if gripped by an unseen hand. His entire body trembled. He pushed with all his strength, yet the blade refused to advance even a centimeter. A young Italian seminarian swore he saw a faint silhouette in the air, the outline of a woman veiled in soft blue light. Others saw nothing, only the impossible, a man fighting against something that was not there. The aggressor screamed in frustration, a raw, animalistic cry that echoed against the stone walls. He tried to wrench his arm backward to free the blade, but his forearm seemed locked in place. Father Delaroche finally turned. His rosary fell silent. He saw the man before him frozen mid-strike. For a single suspended second, the entire grotto seemed to stop breathing. Then, the attacker dropped the knife. It clattered onto the stone floor, ringing like a bell. The sound was so sharp, so pure, that several pilgrims later described it as unlike any metal they had ever heard, almost musical. The man collapsed to his knees, shaking uncontrollably. His eyes bulged wide with terror, fixed not on the priest, but at a point above him, as if he were staring into the eyes of someone invisible. He whispered something, a hoarse, trembling phrase that witnesses would debate for months. Non mi guardare, per favore, non guardarmi. Don't look at me, please, don't look at me. His body convulsed once, and he fell face first onto the stones, completely unconscious. Several people rushed forward. The priest knelt beside the man, placing a hand over his heart. He was alive, breathing, though faintly. The knife lay on the ground, illuminated by candlelight. The blade, once smooth and polished, now bore a distinct crack running down its center.
No one could explain how. A hush spread across the grotto, broken only by the clicking of cameras from nearby surveillance and the soft whisper of running water. Father Delaroche raised his head slowly toward the niche where the statue of the Virgin stood. For the briefest moment, some swore they saw the statue's face illuminated with an inner light, a glow not produced by any candle in the sanctuary. Others insist the light was simply reflection, imagination, shock. But more than 20 witnesses signed statements affirming what they believed they saw.
Security officers quickly surrounded the scene, flashlights slicing through the darkness. Their radios crackled with urgency as they tried to understand what had just taken place. The leading officer, Sergeant Lucien Fournier, a veteran of the Pyrenees security forces, halted in disbelief as he took in the scene before him. A priest frozen in shock, 3 men standing tensely nearby, and the attacker kneeling on the stone floor, trembling like someone suffering from a violent fever. But it was the attacker's condition that drew every eye. His hands still covered his face, nails digging into his skin. His voice had fallen to a frantic whisper, faster, more desperate, like someone pleading with an unseen judge. Elle était là, elle m'a regardé, elle m'a puni. She was there, she looked at me, she punished me. The officers approached cautiously, unsure whether the man still posed a threat. They later testified that, although he had no weapon, they felt an inexplicable tension in the air, as if something unseen continued to hover around him. Sergeant Fournier placed a firm hand on the man's shoulder. The attacker recoiled violently, as though struck by a current, and screamed, a raw, agonized cry that echoed against the grotto's stone walls. His entire body arched backward, then collapsed limp into the arms of the officers. They laid him on his side, placing a jacket beneath his head. His breathing was rapid, erratic. His skin was ice cold, yet beads of sweat poured down his face. A nurse among the pilgrims, Selena Vidal from the Philippines, knelt beside him and checked his pulse. It beat wildly, but his eyes remained shut, darting beneath the lids as though he was witnessing something horrifying behind them. When asked whether he had consumed drugs or suffered from a psychological disorder, the nurse shook her head. "This is not physical," she whispered. "This is something else." Meanwhile, Father Michael Durant stood motionless, rosary still clutched in his hand. He seemed unable to move or speak. His lips trembled with silent prayer, though no sound escaped. When Antoine and Jean-Paul supported him by the arms and moved him to a stone bench, the priest's gaze remained fixed on the exact spot where the knife had stopped, as if his mind was replaying those 7 impossible seconds over and over. A group of pilgrims began reciting the Hail Mary aloud, their voices trembling. Some knelt, others wept openly. The sight that had, only minutes earlier, been filled with peaceful prayer was now a living tableau of fear, awe, and reverence. One woman sobbed as she knelt near the grotto entrance. She protected him. Our Lady protected him. But not everyone agreed on what they had seen. Security officers began taking witness statements, and what emerged was a mosaic of testimonies both consistent and impossible. Of the 32 pilgrims, 9 claimed they had seen a brilliant white light form a barrier between the priest and his attacker. 4 insisted they saw the face, an outline of a woman's figure, clothed in blue, standing between them. 6 said they felt a sudden pressure in the air, like being pushed backward, though they saw nothing. 13 saw only a man frozen mid-strike, as though paralyzed by an unseen force. But every single witness, regardless of interpretation, agreed on one unquestionable fact. For 7 full seconds, the attacker could not move even a centimeter. Medical personnel arrived shortly afterward and transported the man to St. Bernard Medical Center under police supervision. Father Durant was taken as well, though he insisted he was uninjured. Before leaving, the priest placed his hand on the cold stone altar, eyes still distant. "She was here," he whispered. Those were his only words. The sanctuary was sealed off immediately, for the first time in over a century. Officials cited security protocol, but for those who were present, the truth was unmistakable. Something had visited the grotto that night, something beyond human understanding. In the months that followed, word of the event never truly faded. Not in Lourdes. Not among the 33 lives bound together by 7 impossible seconds. Whispers traveled across cafes, university halls, quiet monasteries, hospital corridors, and late-night family dinners. Everywhere, the same question lingered like incense. What stopped the knife? Official reports nestled into government archives, labeled, time-stamped, photographed, and put away, yet still unresolved. The documents felt heavy, not because of their weight, but because of what they could not explain. Scientists continued to debate discreetly. One theory suggested a sudden neurovascular spasm. Another proposed a dissociative paralysis triggered by psychological overload. None of them accounted for the light, reported by almost a third of witnesses, nor the paralyzing gaze described by Julian Morrow. Meanwhile, Julian remained under continuous treatment inside a secured psychiatric facility. Some days he spoke lucidly, other days he refused to utter a word. But there was always one constant. When asked why he stopped, he would lower his eyes and whisper in that same trembling voice, "I didn't stop. She stopped me." He never changed his wording, not even once. Psychiatrists noted it, documented it, analyzed it. They couldn't remove that memory from him because it didn't behave like memory. It behaved like truth. A truth only he could see. For Father Michael Durant, recovery was not linear. Nightmares visited him often, dreams in which the knife did touch his chest. In some, he fell. In others, he survived, but saw her. A radiant figure clothed in white,
neither speaking nor moving, only watching. He never knew whether these dreams came from memory or from imagination desperately seeking coherence. He began keeping a private journal, small, leather-bound, with handwriting tense and uneven. His entries grew shorter over time, but the final one, dated June 14, 2025, contained only 3 words: "I believe now." No explanation followed, no elaboration, just quiet conviction. By late summer, pilgrims began asking sanctuary staff whether anything unusual had happened at the grotto recently. Not because they had read news, but because they said they felt something while praying there. Some described warmth, others described a presence. 2 separate pilgrims, unknown to each other, claimed that at dusk they saw a faint figure standing within the niche where the statue rested, though no statue was there at the time, having been temporarily removed for restoration. Both described the same thing: a woman, veiled in white, watching them silently. Their testimonies were politely recorded, then quietly set aside. No official report was filed. Not this time. In mid-September, something unexpected occurred. One of the sanctuary's security guards, a retired gendarme named Arnaud Lefebvre, submitted a handwritten statement to his superior. Shaking, he requested immediate leave. He reported that during his night shift, at 3:17 a.m., he passed the grotto perimeter and saw a woman standing alone, her back to him. He assumed she was a lost pilgrim and radioed in. But when he approached, she turned slowly, and he saw nothing but light where her face should have been. He fell to his knees instantly. Not out of fear, he insisted, but out of something he couldn't name. Something ancient. When he blinked, she was gone. Security footage from that hour showed only Arnaud collapsing to the ground. No intruders, no unauthorized movement, no light. When asked repeatedly if he might have experienced a hallucination, Arnaud simply shook his head. "I served 27 years, he said. "I know fear. That wasn't fear." He resigned the next day. For the Church, the October incident remained unresolved, deliberately. To declare a miracle, after all, requires time, distance, and certainty. This event possessed none of those things. Its power came from the opposite, its ambiguity. Still, quietly, privately, some clerics began studying the matter more closely. A preliminary commission was formed, unofficial and unnamed. Among themselves, behind closed doors, they asked the forbidden question: what if it truly happened? Not a hallucination, not a coincidence, not hesitation or mental collapse, but intervention. A barrier placed between violence and innocence, between intent and consequence. A shield. In November 2025, a sealed envelope arrived at the sanctuary. No sender, no address, only a wax seal of a single rose. Inside was a short letter. Some things are protected even when we do not deserve protection. Some things are seen only when they choose to be seen. Your grotto is not just stone. No signature, but below the final line was a small pressed white flower. Botanists later identified it as a species not native to France and not known to grow anywhere in Europe. The story of that night refuses to settle, refuses to fade. It lives on, not just in archives and testimonies, but in the hearts of those who were there, in whispered prayers, in trembling memories, in the quiet knowledge that reality is not always what it seems. Some still visit the grotto hoping to find answers. Others avoid it, fearing what they might learn. But all agree on one truth. What happened that night was real. They simply disagree on why. And perhaps that is the point. Some events are not meant to be solved, only witnessed. For in the overlap between the seen and the unseen, between the natural and the divine, between the knife and the hand that stopped it, there lies a story still unfolding, a story not yet finished, a story that waits.
Because sometimes miracles begin not with revelation, but with silence. And the silence at the grotto of Massabielle still speaks.
Now, let's move on to the second story of the day. I truly believe this one will make everyone stop and think, not just because of what happened, but because of the deeper meaning behind it. What you are about to hear completely changed the life of a woman who never believed in miracles. A nurse who had worked for 12 years without ever questioning anything until that early morning when the security cameras proved she was completely alone. But she swears she wasn't. This is the story of Emily Carter and the miracle of the Virgin Mary that no one saw coming. But before we continue, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from and what time it is there right now. I'd love to see how far the miracles of the Virgin Mary are reaching. You know that kind of person who just keeps going no matter what happens. Wakes up, works, comes home, doesn't complain, doesn't ask for help, just keeps going. Emily Carter was like that. 34 years old, a nurse in the neonatal ICU of a hospital in Chicago for 12 years. A job that demands a very specific kind of person, one who can care for the smallest patients in the world without breaking down at every shift. But if you looked closely over the past 8 months, you'd notice something had changed about her. The way she avoided long conversations in the locker room, how she rushed out of the hospital the moment her shift ended, yet sat in her car in the parking lot for 10 minutes before she could turn the key. The truth, 8 months since the divorce. Ryan had left, taking half of their things and all the strength Emily had left to fight. She signed the papers without arguing, without asking for anything. 4 months since her mother passed away. Emily didn't talk about any of it. When coworkers asked how she was doing, she smiled and said, "Fine," and almost believed it as the word left her mouth. The apartment she lived in now was small, 1 bedroom, a kitchenette, 3rd floor with no elevator. Temporary, she had thought when she signed the lease. 8 months later, there were still boxes stacked against the living room wall. On the nightstand, a single framed photo. Emily, at 15, with her mother in a park, both smiling. Emily looked at that photo every night before turning off the light. And every night she wondered when it would stop hurting so much. Work was what kept her functioning. In the neonatal ICU, there was always something to do, someone tiny needing care, problems that demanded total focus. No room to think about divorce or how her mother's house now sat empty, waiting to be sold. Emily especially liked the night shifts. At night, the hospital felt different. The halls quieter, only the essentials running. Emily liked the essentials, the simple things, the things that didn't require her to pretend she was whole. That Tuesday in March, Emily arrived for her 11 p.m. shift as usual. She parked, grabbed her lunch bag, though she never had an appetite for it, went up to the locker room, changed clothes, tied her hair into a tight bun, sanitized her hands 3 times, a habit she no longer noticed. Entered the ICU. The nurse from the previous shift, Sarah, was finishing her notes. "Quiet night?" Emily asked. Sarah didn't even look up from the computer. So far, Incubator 2 had a drop in oxygen saturation at 8, but it stabilized. Incubator 5 came in 2 hours ago, 28 weeks premature. Mother's recovering from an emergency C-section. Emily picked up the clipboard. 7 months. Lungs still underdeveloped. Family? Father's in the room with the mother. First pregnancy. They're scared. They said they're going to name him Noah. Emily knew that fear. She saw it every day. Parents looking through the glass, unable to hold their children, unable to do anything but wait and pray. Sarah finished typing and stood up. "It's all noted. Call me if you need anything." And Emily was left alone with 7 incubators and the silence of the night. Emily began her rounds. Incubator 1, 2, 3, 4. When she reached number 5, she stopped. Through the transparent acrylic, the baby slept so small, his tiny hands closed into fists. Emily stepped into the area.
"Hi, little Noah," she whispered. "I'm Emily. I'll be taking care of you tonight." She checked the monitors. Temperature, oxygen saturation, heart rate, everything within normal range. She stood there for a moment, just watching. She thought about the parents, how they must be exhausted but unable to sleep, how their lives had changed completely in a matter of hours. She went back to the central station. The hospital was almost completely silent now, only the hum of the machines, the occasional beep from a monitor. Emily grabbed the lukewarm coffee she had brought from home, opened the computer, and began reviewing the medical records. The night passed slowly, as it always did. Midnight, full round, everything normal. 2:30 a.m. Emily stared at the computer screen without really seeing it, her thoughts drifting. She stood up and went to do another round, even though it wasn't time yet. She needed to move. She needed to do something. She walked past all the incubators. 1, 2, 3, 4. She stopped there. Watched the baby sleeping, the ventilator doing the work his lungs couldn't yet do on their own, and she found herself thinking for the first time in months about something other than her own emptiness. She thought about her mother, how she would have loved to be a grandmother, how she would have made those awful but love-filled crocheted blankets she insisted on giving as gifts. Emily closed her eyes for a second. When she opened them, it was already 3 o'clock in the morning. She had been standing there for nearly 20 minutes without realizing it. She sighed. She needed to get back to the station. She was turning around when she felt it. Roses. Emily froze completely. The unmistakable scent of fresh roses, as if someone had just opened a huge bouquet right next to her. She looked around. There were no flowers. Flowers were strictly forbidden in the ICU. And yet, the smell was there. Strong, real, impossible to ignore. Emily walked to the ICU door, looked down the hallway. Empty. No scent of roses outside. She went back. The smell remained, stronger near incubator 5. Her heart began to beat faster. Cleaning product, perfume from a coworker who had passed by earlier. The smell of roses was so intense now that she could almost see the flowers. Red roses, fresh, just like the ones her mother used to plant in their garden. Emily stood there trying to process it, trying to find a logical explanation. The scent lasted maybe a minute, maybe 2. Then it began to fade gradually until it disappeared completely. Emily looked at the baby. He was still sleeping, monitor steady. Nothing had changed, but something happened. She had felt it. Emily staggered back to the station and sat down, took 3 deep breaths. "Tiredness," she said aloud to the empty room. "It's just tiredness." The rest of the night went by slowly. Emily made her rounds on schedule, checked monitors, took notes, everything mechanical, everything automatic. But she kept glancing at incubator 5. And part of her still expected to smell those roses again. She never did. At 7 in the morning, the next nurse arrived for her shift. Emily grabbed her bag and left. In the parking lot, she sat in the car but didn't start the engine. The sun was already rising, the sky growing lighter. Emily rested her head on the steering wheel. What had just happened? Was it the effect of accumulated stress? The grief she never properly processed? She shook her head. She wasn't even going to think about it. She started the car and drove home. Thursday, 11 at night. Emily arrived for her shift. Sarah was finishing her notes, ready to leave. "How was the day?" Emily asked. "Quiet. But look," Sarah hesitated. "Dr. Collins stopped by this afternoon. He ordered new tests for baby 5. Said the numbers aren't improving." Emily felt her stomach tighten. Did he say anything else? That he'll review the results tomorrow and decide if the protocol needs adjustment. Emily was alone in the NICU with the 7 babies, but she could only think about one. She went to incubator 5. The baby was asleep. "You need to get better," she whispered. At 2 in the morning, Emily was at her station when she felt it. An impulse, a need. She stood up and went to incubator 5.
The baby was asleep. And then she felt it, a presence. Emily turned her head slowly and saw a woman standing less than 2 meters away on the other side of the incubator. Emily blinked. The woman was still there, real, wearing a deep blue dress, dark long hair falling over her shoulders, a young face, but with eyes that seemed to carry centuries. The woman was looking at the baby, and on her face was pure compassion, unconditional love. Emily tried to speak. No sound came out. The woman extended her hand. Emily couldn't move, couldn't breathe. And then the woman lifted her eyes, looked directly at Emily. The world stopped. Brown eyes with impossible depth, eyes that saw everything. But there was no judgment, only love, complete acceptance. The woman smiled, a smile that lit up her entire face. Emily felt the tears start to fall. The woman vanished, just like that. Suddenly, Emily stood there, heart racing, hands shaking. She looked around, empty corridor, other incubators, monitors beeping normally. She looked at incubator 5. The baby was asleep. But Emily knew something had happened, something real. Her legs gave out. She had to lean against the wall. She whispered, "What was that?" When she finally managed to move, she ran to the security room. She banged hard on the door. "Jake, open up!" Jake opened it. "Nurse Carter, did something happen?" "I need to see the cameras, the ICU ones, now, please." He let her in, sat down at the monitors. "What time frame?" "The last 15 minutes. Jake rewound the footage on the screen. Emily entering, standing still, staring at the other side of the incubator. But there was no one there, just her, alone, looking into the void. "Nurse Carter, did you see anything specific?" Jake asked carefully. Emily couldn't speak. Jake looked visibly worried. "Do you want me to call someone, the supervisor?" No. Emily took a deep breath. I'm sorry. Thank you, Jake." She left the room before he could say anything else. Emily didn't sleep when she got home. She sat on the couch, staring at the wall, trying to process. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that face, those eyes, that smile. But the cameras showed she was alone. How was that possible? Emily went back to her shift, still shaken, still confused. Sarah gave a quick handover. "Oh, something strange, baby 5. The vitals started improving this morning." Emily stopped. Improving? How? Oxygen levels up, breathing less labored. Emily went straight to incubator 5 as soon as Sarah left. Sunday, the improvement continued. Monday, more improvement. On Tuesday, Dr. Collins gathered the nursing team. "Baby 5's test results are astonishing," he said, flipping through the clipboard. 5 days ago, he was stagnant. I was considering high-risk procedures, and now his lung function is improving at a rate I haven't seen in years. 3 weeks later, the baby was discharged from the ICU. Emily was there when the parents came to pick him up. The mother cried with joy, holding her son, now almost 2 kilos, breathing on his own, healthy. "Thank you," the mother said to Emily. "Thank you for taking care of him." Emily smiled. "He's strong. He fought hard." When they left, Emily stayed there. The empty incubator, the equipment turned off. Silence. She stood in the same spot from that night, closed her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. Emily got home, climbed the 3 flights of stairs, opened the apartment door. The boxes were still stacked against the living room wall. Emily looked at them. 8 months there, untouched. She dropped her bag, walked to the smallest one, opened it. Inside, books. Her mother's recipe books, the ones with flour stains and notes scribbled in the margins. Emily picked one up, opened it to a random page. Carrot cake. Her mother's handwriting, double the recipe, never enough. Emily smiled. She took the book to the kitchen, placed it on the empty shelf above the stove.
One box, one book, a beginning. The following week, Emily slept. It wasn't planned. She came home after her shift, sat on the couch to take off her sneakers, and passed out. She woke up 4 hours later, the afternoon sun pouring through the window. She stood up, disoriented, looked at the clock. 2 in the afternoon. She had slept deeply, without waking up once. Emily sat there processing that. When was the last time? She couldn't remember. 3 months went by. It was June. Emily's apartment now had all the boxes unpacked. Pictures on the walls, plants on the windowsill. Her mother's photo still on the side table, but there were others too. Emily with friends at brunch, a memory from a weekend visiting her cousin. Small things, but important ones. Emily still worked the night shifts, still liked the silence, the routine. But something had changed. She couldn't quite explain it. The problems hadn't disappeared. The divorce still hurt sometimes. The absence of her mother still ached, but it felt different. It was as if she had understood something that night about carrying on, about not being alone even when it feels like you are. Today, Emily Carter still works in the neonatal ICU in Chicago, but there's something different now. In the drawer of her nightstand, next to the wedding ring she no longer wears, there is a small image of Our Lady that she bought 3 weeks after that night. She doesn't pray every day, but sometimes she takes the image and simply holds it. And she remembers those gentle eyes, that smile that said, "It's all right, I'm here." And look, if you made it this far to the end of Emily's story and little Noah's, do one thing for me. Write Noah in the comments, the name of the baby the doctors couldn't explain. I want to see how many hearts this story truly touched. And every time I read Noah in the comments, I'll know one more person believes that miracles still happen. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Write in the comments about a miracle you've witnessed or experienced, and share this video with someone who needs to renew their hope today. May the Virgin Mary continue to bless and protect you and your family. Amen.